Welcome to Real Estate Investing Secrets. We're all looking for freedom and the opportunity to live better, more fulfilling lives. But most of us were trained our entire lives to work for someone else and chase their dreams. How can we use real estate investing as a vehicle to achieve financial freedom? My life is dedicated to answering your real estate investing questions and helping you build an investing business that allows you to change your life and the world around you, and to enable you to turn your dreams of financial freedom into a reality. My name is Mike Hambright from FlipNerd.com, and your questions get answered here on the Real Estate Investing Secrets Show. What's up, freedom fighters? Hey, welcome back for another episode. Today I'm with my buddy Nathan Brooks here. Nathan and I have known each other for a few years. You were on a couple years back, I think, on the show, right?
Yes, I have. Thanks for having me back on.
Yeah, awesome. And so you guys can go back and check out that episode if you want. We're going to talk about a little bit different topic today than we did before. Nathan is a turnkey operator. He basically does about 150 houses a year in Kansas City and he primarily sells them to people that want to own them as rental properties and helps other people build wealth. And he's building wealth in the process himself too, by selling houses and then of course keeping some of his rentals himself. So he's a wealth of knowledge at kind of building wealth through real estate. And contrary to what some people believe, because we're called Flip Nerd, is we don't flip everything. I mean, the truth is I have a rental portfolio that is my biggest asset, quite frankly. So we believe very much in using real estate to build long-term wealth, which is usually through rentals. So that's what we're going to talk about today. Excited to have you on, Nathan.
I'm so excited to be here, and I'm excited. It's funny, our mission at Bridge is building a bridge to wealth and freedom through real estate. So it's pretty funny you said, build a wealth.
But did you trademark it? Because I've been using it for a while.
No, I haven't.
No, that's good. I think we believe the same. Is like there's a lot of ways to build wealth with real estate, of course, and then for us, right? There's a lot of ways to help other people build those things too that kind of need some extra information, or they need a hand with finding properties or whatever it might be. So I know we believe we kind of are preaching from the same gospel there.
We are. Yeah. And it's so important for people to know, like, real estate's such an incredible opportunity. And so just because you don't want to go, learn how to fix a toilet or swing a hammer or know how to buy a home doesn't mean you can't be in the game and really, have all those benefits from it. So it's cool.
Yeah. Awesome. So today, guys, we're going to be talking about kind of scaling your rental portfolio. And, we kind of believe that, and it's the truth, like I don't have the exact statistics in front of me, but there are a massive amount of rental properties that are owned in America. Like, consider the home ownership rate is somewhere around 65%. So that means 35% are rental properties, right? So 1 in 3 houses in America roughly are rental properties. And that's pretty amazing when you start to think about it. Now, there's a little sub statistic there that there's a huge percentage, like literally 90-something% of those are owned by people that own 1 or 2. And while that's interesting, it's really hard to build wealth or retire from a job that you don't like, or even throw off much cash flow when you have 1 or 2. So we're going to talk about how to kind of scale that up and how to turn it into something that really can be an asset for you and really can provide some financial freedom ultimately, because 1 or 2 houses probably isn't going to get the job done for you. So, hey, Nathan, before we kind of jump into this, for folks that don't know you, tell us a little bit about you and kind of your background.
Sure, absolutely. And thank you again for having me on.
Yeah.
It's a real pleasure and appreciate it. So Nathan Brooks out of the Kansas City market. I am a real estate investor. I've been doing it more than 10 years. And so like we own a turnkey company, Bridge Turnkey Investments. We'll do about 150 houses out of the Kansas City market. And I'm married, have a beautiful wife and 2 kiddos. And so we recently bought our dream spot. I have 11 acres, and I enjoy getting to tool around on my tractor and my side-by-side at home and
cool.
And running the chainsaw. I have a shotgun range in my property for shooting clays and stuff. So
nice.
It's awesome. Yeah, I love it.
Yeah. That's great. Well, so let's talk a little bit about the case for scaling. Cause I found, there's just in talking to people over the years and over time, like there's a lot of people that will say they own 1 or 2 rental properties, and it seems like they don't really know how to grow. Like it's kind of a burden, or they'll say things like, wow, they're really a pain in the butt. So I'm not sure that I want anymore. And, you and I were talking ahead of time. Of course, you're a provider for people to build rentals. I've kind of made this joke to you that I have a rental portfolio here in Dallas, pretty good size, decent, throws off a lot of cash. And if I am ever I don't manage them myself. I don't even believe in managing them yourself because I think you have to be an operator, and that is a business in and of itself, right? So, um, but I think that a lot of people that own I would say one of the things I was going to say is I'll go out of my way to not drive past one of my rentals. If I'm like on that part of town, I'm like, hey, I've got a rental like a block over. I don't want to drive past it. I don't want to see that the grass is long. I don't want to see that the shutter's hanging on there sideways if that's the case, or that somebody's parked in the front yard, because I don't manage them myself. I don't need that burden on my shoulders of knowing that something's not right there. And I just prefer, they say ignorance is bliss. I mean, when it comes to rentals, I'd prefer to not know. That situation is going to resolve itself one way or another, and I don't have to be a part of it. And um, so
And
anyway, let's
that's why
kind of
you
talk.
hire a great property manager.
Yeah, yeah.
You
Let's
have
talk a little bit
somebody.
about kind of the case for scaling though, because there's so many things that I think people see. Well, I've got a couple, but they're a huge pain in the butt, and it's wearing me down. And it's like, yeah, the reality is in many ways, like in a lot of businesses, sometimes the answer isn't to pull back and be smaller. It's actually to grow and be larger because it gives you more resources or things. So let's kind of talk about the kind of the case for scaling, if you will.
Yep. So I think that, and you set it up perfectly, which is, you are an investor in your portfolio at that point, and it's not just that, one or two, and you're managing it yourself. You get a management company who can do a job, and that's its own beast, believe me. But when you look at the scaling, it brings a couple of things. First of all, it brings some stability in your cash flow. So the more units you have, if you have one that goes vacant or two that go vacant, and you have 5 properties versus, you have 20 or 30 properties and you have 2 go vacant, have a much, much, much less, drag in that cash flow or lull in your
Yep.
income. And the second is, I think that as you look at the scaling and you start to see, it's actually not that hard to buy 10 or 20 or 30 or 40 homes or whatever that number is, 100 homes. You and I have multiple friends that own, over
Yeah,
100.
for sure.
And
I have a mentor here that owns 2,000.
yeah, see,
Yeah.
2,000 home, which is just incredible. And
Yeah.
so and I think a lot of times too, it's one of those things that people don't even understand that that's possible. So then once you understand that it's in the realm of possible, then it's more like, okay, the case for scaling is, well, hey, you know what? You want to get your spouse home from work? Well, guess what? Continue buying some,
Yeah.
build that cash flow. Or you want to pay for your kids' college? Well, when they're 5 or 6 or 10 or whatever, buy a couple homes, buy a
Yep.
couple more homes. That's what we're going to do for our kids. And in every year when my kids turn 10, we're going to literally buy 2 homes a year for each kid. We're going to put it in a trust. We're going to own it, and then literally be able to say, hey, this is how we do it. So not only in the process are we building wealth in the short term, but family in the long term for us and our kids and in their life, building that legacy too.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's a
And
lot of ways.
you can move the needle faster financially for sure if you have more, right?
Yes.
And then there's also kind of operationally, right? There's some people that I've heard people say one of two things. They're like, well, I'm just going to manage them myself until I get like 10, right? Or there's people that are like, I don't even want to manage one. Like I'm going to start, which is how I believe. I
Yeah.
don't think, that's the beauty of a property manager. Usually they don't care if you have one or if you have 50, like they can handle it now. So why would you burden yourself with those maintenance calls and finding tenants and all those things, even with one, because it is, it's a huge burden on anybody to have to deal with that. And you look at effectively the cost of a property manager. It's like, if, you got to value your time. Right. And so I think operationally,
And legally too, right? So you have to
yeah,
look
yeah,
at
yeah.
what all the legal ramifications of what does it actually look like to have a lease in place? What does it actually look like to make sure you're following procedure and being, legitimate, leases and what the
Yeah.
prorations of rents and deposits and all this kind of stuff that, it's not something to be taken lightly. And you want to make sure, like, now, if you want to build a property management company, that's one thing. But, if you're looking to build and scale your wealth and your portfolio, then absolutely, give that to somebody else who's already built those systems and focus on actually developing and scaling what you want, which is those assets that are
Right.
sitting in your portfolio.
Yeah. I think most people, and hopefully this is a little bit of a dose of reality for some people that are listening that are managing their own and they just have a few. It's like, go try to figure out what your hourly rate is to deal with, going to do the make ready yourself or spending time showing prospective tenants a house and you run all the way across town on a Saturday and leave your family at home, show up and then they're not there and they'll text you and say, hey, change my mind, and just start to think about how much time that's taking you and what else you'll start to pretty quickly realize that you would be better off if you literally outsource that and go flip burgers. Like you're literally making like nothing to do those things, and time is our most valuable asset, as you know.
Yep. Yep. I say this to my team all the time, that there's two things you can't buy. It's time and experience. And
Yeah.
so do you want to have that experience within the property management thing, or you want to already, build it out to somebody who's already solved that problem for you?
Yeah. In my space, as an active investor, we find deals and things like that. I tell all of our students, hey, your time is better spent finding more deals. I usually say, your time is better spent doing one of two things: finding more deals, or God forbid, enjoying your life more, which is why you got into real estate in the first place,
Yes.
And it's definitely not better spent being a property manager. I mean, I think exactly what you said. The only reason you should do your own property management is you're trying to build a property management business and maybe do it for other people too.
Yeah.
And most people that are doing their own management have no desire in doing more of it, especially for somebody else. So anyway, I think we've kind of beat that dead horse there about property
I think we
management.
have. Yeah.
So let's talk about, so you're as a turnkey provider and back to the comment of me saying, I don't even want to drive past my rentals in my town here in Dallas. Like, I don't even want to see them. And so it kind of starts to make the case for like, well, why do they have to be here? Or why do I have to be here? I could move across the country and eventually, and it doesn't really matter where my rentals are because I'm not managing them and I don't even want to see the damn things, So
Right.
as a turnkey provider, you guys do a lot of houses and you have customers from all over the country. Probably, I bet you even have some international customers probably that buy from you, right?
Yep, absolutely. We have,
Yeah.
many, many states and I think 7 countries, lots of military folks as well.
Awesome.
So yeah, it's cool to be able to, it really has changed the game that you can literally invest anywhere.
Yeah. So let's talk about that a little bit, because I think a lot of people think, well, I don't even know how to find deals in my own hometown. Or if you're in like California or a lot of more expensive markets, East Coast, West Coast, it's hard to find good cash flowing properties like it is kind of in the Southwest and in the Midwest and all that, where there's a lot of, it's just more affordable housing, honestly, for rental type properties, more rental grade properties. But talk about that idea of investing virtually and why that makes more and more sense as time goes by.
Yep, absolutely. So when you look at from a global perspective and thinking about scaling, you also want to kind of understand what the numbers are that you're looking for in your investment. So, it's not just only, who's the provider. Of course, that's very important, but, what does it actually look like? And so, when you can come to like a city like ours, Kansas City, and some of those Midwest states, there's some Florida, there's some good areas where you can still invest and really get solid cash flow. And really understanding the type of market you want to invest in, right? So you can get one that's just a straight cash flow market. You can kind of get a hybrid market that has some cash flow and some appreciation. That's Kansas City, that sits in that space. And then you have those straight up appreciation kind of markets where maybe you're not getting cash flow, but maybe you have a opportunity for higher appreciation.
Yeah. Yeah. And just, I think technology and turnkey providers, I mean, that's a relatively new phenomenon over the past, like, handful of years or so that's become kind of more mainstream. Right. And so I think in the past, people would only own them in their hometown, or maybe like the town they grew up in if they've moved away, or some town that they feel like they know well.
Right.
And it's like, well, if you've ever invested in the stock market or anything, did you base your investment objectives on where the company was based at? It's like, well, no, like never, right?
Right.
And so it's like, why is this? If you feel good about the person managing them, as property management is key in the rental business, whether it is in your own market or anywhere else. It's like, if you feel comfortable with them, like who cares where they're at?
Yes. 100%. And then you also know that you have the opportunity to scale, and, talking about scaling, you could literally own 50 homes in one city, 50 homes in another city, and 50 homes in another city. And, you have 3 great property management companies, and you could scale in all of those areas, build relationships with banks and that kind of stuff, where it's not localized, and the technology makes it easy to get the reporting, and it makes it easy to understand what you're buying, and you rely on those partners out there who are bringing those deals to put those together and be the boots on the ground, and then you can decide what's a great fit for you, and mutually with those people bringing the deals.
Yep. Yep. Yeah. The technology, and you can hire, just like you can hire an Uber driver to drive you around. You can hire there's a company called WeGoLook.com. You can hire people to go drive past the house, take pictures for you. You can hire real estate agents to go do a BPO and look at a house, or appraisers, or it's easier than ever to connect in other markets and have people go do things for you than it has been ever before, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
In literally in real time too, where it's a Facebook Live, or
Yeah.
or a Google, Google Hangout, or you have FaceTime on your phone with the person walking the home. You can get a video. Matterport cameras are cool, where you can see the whole 3 dimensions of the
Oh yeah.
property.
Yeah. Those are cool.
And then there's also like the update technology too, whether it's a Dropbox folder with pictures of your property, or, like our company, we give you the scope of work, we give you the inspection report, we give you all that stuff in one place. So you can just save it, right? You can just save the folder and know
Yeah.
you have all your stuff in one place.
Yeah, and you can kind of be there without ever being there, right? I mean, so it gives you
Yeah.
should for most people, it should give you a higher level of comfort, right? As to what you're investing in. You can kind of see it and feel it without actually having to physically feel it.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and that's what we tell our clients all the time, which is like, hey, we don't want you to have to feel like you're a Kansas City expert. We want you to feel like you found the right partner. And
Yeah.
that way, it's like wherever you're going, you don't need to be the expert, but you need to understand enough fundamentally on like, what am I buying? What kind of returns am I looking for? What asset class am I buying? And then what's my long-term strategy, so I can make sure I find the right partner that can scale. And if you want to buy 100 houses over a couple of years and you're working with somebody that can only do, say, 20 a year, maybe is not necessarily the fit.
Sure.
And also really understanding that asset class and the type of renovation, the type of product that you're getting, so you're really clear that you all of a sudden close on this home and you don't wasn't exactly what you wanted, and you got into something now that you own that isn't a fit for what you were hoping for.
Right, right. So Nathan, one other big thing that comes up with people owning rentals is around financing, right?
Mhm.
So some people don't know that you can use a government-backed financing, Fannie Mae and Freddie, to finance your first 10 properties. Usually, if you have a good job and they're going to look at your income, and they're going to look at your cash reserves and things like that. But that truly is the best financing you get, because it's low interest rate and it's fixed over 30 years, which we'll talk about next. When you go to the commercial level and you start to find financing, it's usually not fixed for long term. There has been some stuff that's popped over the past couple of years, but it's usually not as, when the government's subsidizing it, it's a good thing to get while you can get it, but you run out of that. But then, so let's talk about that for a bit, and then we'll kind of jump into what do you do after 10 deals. So talk about the kind of the value of that access to funding your first 10 deals first.
Yeah. So the first Fannie Mae ones, you can put, 10 deals. And the other thing, if you have a spouse or somebody else adult that's investing with you, you can actually do 20, really, if you both have W-2 income, or you can show the income. And, you obviously talk with your attorney and how you do it, but if you put both of your names on the contract, now you've both used one of those spots. But if you keep it separate and you can qualify separately, then, you could potentially have 20.
Sure.
But, you get the best rate of return, or the best interest rate rather.
Right.
And of course that 30-year money is the cheapest to get. And then, you can literally set it and forget it for the 30 years of that mortgage. And what I like to think about it is, as you have those 10 or 20 properties, and then you look at what are the top performing ones, and maybe if there's one at the bottom that's consistently not doing very well, sell it off, right? And take that money, put it back into one or two other ones. And then you can literally, get the best interest rate, the best, safest, most long-term money in those Fannie Mae mortgages.
Yeah. Yeah. So then when you get up above that and you want to do more than 10, then you start to get into some more kind of commercial type loans. And so talk about that. Like, where do you go beyond that? Because a lot of people get stuck and they think, well, I can't get financing after this. Like, well, clearly there are people that own way more than 10 rental properties. So talk about what the most kind of typical routes are from there on.
Well, there's now some institutional money in that space too. Corvest is one. I can't think of any other off the top of my head, but can you think of any other
Yeah,
ones that are
Lending One has some products, and
lending one?
yeah, some of the big national lenders have some products like that.
Yep, exactly. So you have some institutional money, and then you also have the community banks too, where you can
Right.
come in and go work with the bank, and you can sit across from that VP or president of lending, and you have some deposits on with that bank, and you can get a lot of times too, they make those lending decisions in that bank. And so you want to know what the lending limit is, you want to know what they can do, but it's called a portfolio loan. And so then they can take say 10 properties or 20 properties or 30 properties, and they can put them all into a package or however you want them, and they'll loan far beyond that number of 10
Right.
properties.
Right.
So a couple of things to ask there are, what is the AM? So what is the amortization? So a lot of times it's not a 30-year AM. It's either, 15 or 20-year AM. And then also just like, what is the lending limit of the bank? So if you have 20 or 30 homes and it's, 3 or 4 or $5 million worth of properties, then what can they lend up to for an individual there at the bank? So you want to know that as well.
Yep. Yep. And have you found usually when you're dealing with community banks, probably one of the things that has a little more leverage if the houses are also in that same community, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they want to know. And the other thing is that it's, is it what kind of home it is? And there's some incentives for banks depending upon where those properties are and the type of areas. And so, absolutely, it's important that they understand you too. It's a relationship.
Sure.
And building that relationship, they understand who you are. They understand that you are in business and what your business looks like, and you really take it seriously, not just as a transaction of going to ask for hey, I need money, but how am I here to help you? How am I here building the community? How am I here building this relationship with the bank?
Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome. So, Nathan, maybe give some guidance to people. We've kind of talked about a lot of stuff here today, like getting started with rentals. And what do you think? I mean, of course, probably I'm gonna. Well, I guess if people want to get started, like if they don't own any rentals and they want to start buying rentals, or they own a couple and they're like, okay, I want to actually start to scale this up now. This makes sense to me. Where do they go to even start that process?
That's such a great question. So first of all, I think that start from asking yourself the question, like, what do I want it to look like? So if
Yeah.
ultimately you want to own 10 properties, you can do them all in your Fannie Mae mortgages, right? And that is
Yep.
assuming that you have the W-2 income and you have some reserves set aside and whatever. You can do that, right? If you say, hey, you know what? Listen, Mike, Nathan, I really want to have 50. Okay, well, let's start thinking about it in the long term, and let's start, starting a relationship with one or two different community banks and building those relationships now, and put a few $1,000s and grow that. Even let's say you put those first 2 or 3 or 4 properties, and you actually just have those rents deposit back to that bank. Or say, hey, we're going to do a refinance soon. I want to work with you guys. This is what it looks like. This is my goal. And maybe you might not say I want to do 50. They might not, but you might say, hey, I got 5 coming. This is what we want to do. I want to portfolio these together. But if you come back to that first, like 1 or 2 properties, think about where you want to invest in. What kind of market. Maybe there's a place that you already have familiarity with, or maybe there's a certain company that you want to work with. And then also understand that, like I said earlier, the asset class. So what is the actual property, and what do the actual numbers look like? How much does it cost? And if you're a first time investor and you've worked really, really hard and you maybe only have 20 or 25 grand to put in that investment, then, you're looking at $100,000 house. So make sure
Right.
you understand, like, what am I actually buying? And then start saying to yourself too, it's that principle of putting away money and paying yourself first and saying, hey, I'm not willing to accept this anymore of not owning more properties. And if it's, $20,000 a year, and even if, I'm going to put away enough to buy 1 this year, and I'm going to put away enough to buy 1 next year or 2 next
Right.
year. And you've set yourself up to start seeing that, hey, this is actually possible.
Yeah, don't let that big goal kind of scare you of like 50. It's like, okay, well, that could be over 10 years. It's 5 a year. That's 1 every
Yeah.
other month. Just kind of once you start getting a plan in place and you kind of have some smaller stepping stones, just like everything in all of our businesses, right? Is like, hey, I have a big goal, but it's like, I'm not going to go from 0 to achieving the goal overnight. It's like, I
Yeah.
have milestones along the way to help us get there. And for you, it's like, hey, I want to buy 3 a year. So once every 4 months you're buying a house. It's not unrealistic, right? And once you start to build it up, then I've seen you're kind of like, wow. You kind of look back and you're like, wow, that was easier than I thought. Like it wasn't that bad because you just did baby steps, right?
Yep, exactly. And that you also recognize that, hey, once you've done it 1 or 2 or 3 times, it's like anything. It's like riding a bicycle. The first time it takes you forever to just get on that bike and pedal, right?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you're riding and you move around a little bit, but you stay on the bike, no more crashing. And then all of a sudden you're it's in your subconscious and you're not stressing about it, and you understand what it is and how to ride and just enjoyment of riding. And it's the same application with real estate, just like anything. So the first time you do it, second time you do it, third time you do it, there's a lot of learning.
Yeah,
And that's part
absolutely.
of it. But
Absolutely.
take notes, learn from it, understand what you want. And then by the time you get to that third, fourth, fifth one, it's a lot easier.
Yeah, you're more confident. You can make decisions quicker. You're more confident that the financing that you need is there. Like you start to just like you said, like everything, you just start to get better and more competent and confident yourself, and you might just surprise yourself and grow faster than you thought.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. Well, Nathan, hey, if folks want to learn more about you, I know you're an amazing provider in the Kansas City market. If they want to learn more about you and what you've got going on, where should they go?
Absolutely. They can go to bridgeturnkey.com, just like it sounds. And if I'm also on Facebook, just Nathan Brooks. I'm the most active on social wise on Facebook. So yeah, you can check out our properties on the website and also, connect with me online.
Awesome. Everybody, hope you got a lot of value today. Hey, Nathan, thank you for being with us today.
Thank you so much, Mike. Really enjoyed it.
Yeah, always good to see you. For those of you guys that are listening, this is episode number 463 with Nathan Brooks. If you haven't yet, please go out to Stitcher Radio, iTunes, Google Play, wherever you might watch us or listen to us at. YouTube, of course, we have, you guys might not know this, we have just an insane amount of downloads and views on YouTube. And, of course, our own website, flipnerd.com, where you can watch or listen to all of our shows. But we'd appreciate it if you go out and subscribe, give us some positive feedback. Or if you have some negative feedback, you can send it to support@flipnerd.com. But, we hope you've gotten some value out of this. We're going to keep the shows coming at you. Hope you guys have a great day. Until the next episode, stay strong, stay cool, and keep fighting for freedom. We'll see ya. Thanks for listening to today's show. There are 3 ways I can help you start or grow your real estate investing business. If you're a new investor and just getting started, the FlipNerd Investor Coaching Program is the most effective program in America. I've been coaching and mentoring new real estate investors for 10 years, and my students have literally purchased thousands and thousands of properties. Many of them started with little to no experience at all. Our program is a paint-by-numbers program where we tell you exactly what to do week by week to make sure that you don't get distracted on your way to results. We show you how to build a real business, not just create another job for yourself. New memberships are limited. You can learn more and apply or schedule a call with me and my team at flipnerd.com/coaching. If you're an experienced investor doing a minimum of 10 deals a year, up to 500 deals a year or more, or have a multi-million-dollar real estate portfolio already, you should check out our powerful Investor Fuel Real Estate Investor Mastermind. Over 100 of the nation's leading real estate investors are members, and it's not uncommon for our members to 2 to 5x their business just from getting around other members at Investor Fuel. At Investor Fuel, each of us are business advisors to one another's businesses, but we don't stop at business. We focus heavily on becoming better people and living fuller lives. If you're looking for fuel for your business or fuel for your life, please check out investorfuel.com. Applications and interviews are required, as most investors are not a fit for our community. Please learn more at investorfuel.com. If you're not ready for coaching or masterminds but eager to start learning more about investing, please join our private Facebook group by visiting flipnerd.com/Facebook. New members get access to free training from us right here at flipnerd.com, and it's a community to safely ask your questions, a great place to get started. Simply go to flipnerd.com/Facebook to request your access today.